it means angel from above. I was born and raised in Bangkok, Thailand, and then when I was 11 years old, I moved to Stockholm, Sweden. Before digging into my work, and kind of like, so you can kind of tap into how my brain works, and I've started to realize that it makes different types of connections. Maybe it has to do with my upbringing that I grew up in Thailand and in Sweden. I've been living now in New York City for 8 years. Maybe that's a part of why it's so weird, but I love weird, and I think that there's a lot of interesting things that we can find in exploring unconventional paths. So I'm going to be performing some songs from my record just to start with, and then we're going to discuss the thought process behind that. And I'm also really curious if you all have any kind of questions. Feel free to just raise a hand and ask at any time. I also know that there are a lot of artists in here who are not musicians. So if you have a specific question of like, how would I translate this idea to video projections or whatever it can be, I would be thrilled to have that conversation with you. But I'm going to start with a song called 1.5. not really telling you much about the songs because we're going to talk a lot about the songs. Now you can start to just figure out some like, what did that mean? What part of the song is AQI? Just plant some seeds. So, I did that intentionally of not really telling you much about the songs, because I'm just curious, just on first glance, if you are not here in this room right now, being in here because you know that we're going to talk about the desertification, you know we're going to talk about climate change and all these things, when you just heard these three songs, would you have thought that it had anything to do with those things? That's kind of the idea, actually. So this is me. My name is Sirintip, and like I mentioned, I was born and raised in Thailand and Sweden. I'm a composer and a singer and producer. I write my songs, I arrange my songs, and produce my songs. And I also call myself a sustainable artist. And this is something that I kind of want to dig into a little bit more with you guys, because at least in the music industry, it's really difficult to be sustainable because there are a lot of infrastructure that's not in place for artists to be touring, to be releasing music, to do a lot of things in a sustainable way. But I've kind of tried to find ways, and that's a part of what I'll be sharing with you today. I did my undergraduate at the Royal College of Music in Stockholm, and I did my master's degree at Manhattan School of Music in New York. I came to New York because I love jazz. And growing up in Thailand, I was listening to a lot of traditional Thai music. I did traditional Thai dancing. And going to Sweden, that's like the capital of the world when it comes to pop music. So I had all this Thai influences in me, all this pop music influence in me. And then as a teenager, I'm like, I really love jazz. I really love to improvise. So I need to move to New York and become a jazz artist. But as I came here and I learned more about jazz and really respected that it came from an Afro-American tradition, I felt like I could infuse more into the jazz community by bringing in my pop influences from Sweden and my Thai influences as well. And last year I released an album called Carbon. Carbon is based on the causes and effects of climate change. So there are 13 songs with 13 different topics. You heard 3 of them at the beginning of the performance. And a part of it, of not just releasing music about climate change, was also about figuring out ways to make it sustainable. So I recorded the album at a solar-powered studio. So that was one of the first things I'm like, I'm going to show people you can record at a solar-powered studio. You probably didn't know that. So I hope that more musicians now that we know that that's an option, that would be something that people are considering. In terms of the record, when I was thinking about the compositional tools that I could include, instead of just putting everything in the lyric, I tried to figure out ways of building it into the songs instead. Because in the past, I noticed that when you put stuff in music in the lyrics, like let's recycle, or let's compost, or whatever it can be, reduce waste. People don't want to listen to that in their headphones. A lot of people listen to music because they want to heal, they want to have a good time, they want to ride in a car, look at the trees, and just enjoy the road trip. It's like people listen to music for different reasons. And I felt like if I put in the lyric of what I think people should do, it will probably exclude a lot of potential listeners. So in 2019, I started this idea of what if I built it into music. So I put up a little station in my music studio in New York City. I live in an apartment in Washington Heights, and one of the rooms is now a music studio. It's not fancier than that, but it does the job. So I would walk in there every day, pretty much like the scientists, so just going into the lab and let me do some research today, see how I can turn this into music, and that was the goal. I never tried to write a good song. I feel like if you're trying to write a good song, you're kind of screwing yourself over. You're never going to write a good song. So it will go in like, okay, I want to research plastic pollution, and I want to figure out a way to turn it into a song. So for plastic pollution, what I ended up doing was taking plastic trash from my kitchen and then using sampling tools in a digital audio workstation called Ableton. And then I could play it, and then that became what the song was when it came to plastic pollution. But the song itself is a really feel-good song. It's called It's Alright. And the lyrics, it doesn't say anything about plastic. But people are listening to it like, oh, what's that drum sound? I really like that drum sound. The idea is that because they are inspired and fascinated by the process, then they will start to research what was the drums on this recording. Oh, it's plastic trash. Oh, she wants us to think about plastic pollution, and so forth. I also wrote a song, which is actually the first one I performed for you, where I took data from NASA's website of the rising average global temperature from 1880 to 2012, and I used a compositional tool that we'll be talking more about called data sonification, where I translated the pitches, I translated the data into pitches. And if you've ever seen a graph of the rising global temperature, you know it's pretty much been consistent for many, many decades, and then in the past few decades it's gone up exponentially. So musically, I felt like if I just sang like, ooh, then it would be predictable again, we're falling into that trap of, yes, this song has informative value, but it's not moving us emotionally. So what I did was I took data that was important for me and significant to our history, and then I organized it in a different way. So I took some artistic liberties, but every pitch you can see here, the accompanying pattern are these years with these temperatures. The second one is this, which is the bass, and the third one is the percussive response. So at the beginning of the masterclass, when I sang a whole wordless piece for you, that was this song. It was all data. Every single note you heard was a specific year with a specific temperature. And then the melody were years that were significant. For another song on the record, I wanted to bring awareness to biodiversity. So for this one, I explored translating the dance of the mating dance of the black sicklebill, which is a really, really cool bird. And I took the rhythm of that bird and made a vocal loop out of it. And then also on this one, I had plastic trash being the foundation of the song. So I'm just going to show a little clip of the music video at a lower volume. And in this music video, you're going to see that I played with the idea too of having more a visual component. So you're going to see illustrations of animated birds. And then also I'm wearing all white, and the other dancer in the music video is wearing all black. So we're kind of like showing the contrast of diversity. And lyrically, the song has to do with imposter syndrome. So that actually, going back to your question, the working title of the song, for whatever reason, was just Plastic Bird. And I used it as an inspiration of like, okay, what could that possibly mean from a lyrical standpoint? And I came up with this idea of a plastic toy bird looking out the window and hoping that it could be a real bird. And it just kind of goes back to the idea of the imposter syndrome, that you want to be there, but then what if they realize that you're not a real bird, you're a plastic toy bird, you can't even lift your wings. So here's just a little music video. So that's a rhythm of the black syllables mating dance. Time is running out the sono, my beak is shut, and both my wings are tied. What is the data sonification? This is what Wikipedia said. Through data sonification, the same digital data that gets translated into image is transformed into sound. So the ways to explore data sonification is you just need a data set. It doesn't need to be scientifically based. It could be any data. It could be one or multiple sets. And then you can use the two-tone app, the one I shared before, or come up with your own system. Then what you need to decide is the emotional experience. Do you want the story of this data to be sad, or happy, introspective, scary, aggressive, anticipating, whatever, all the emotions? I think there are 21 different emotions. And then specifically for music, you would decide the musical direction. So you would be thinking about the instrumentation. So do you want this data to be performed by flutes, or by piano, or electric instruments, acoustic instruments? You would decide on the form, so the art and the shape of the song. Do you want it to start soft and then go loud? Do you want it to be very calm and then get very dynamic? The rhythm is how fast this will be played. Time signature, that's a little bit more music specific. And then think about the melody, so the key, intervals, the shape of the melodies, harmony are the chords, and then if you want to have words on the words. So let's create a speed track. I got a data set from Danny. You sent me.
Very simple one, yes.
Do you want to tell everyone what that data set is?
Yeah, unless there's someone else that wants to do it. Yeah, so I do a lot of VR research, so I create VR experiences about environmental topics, And this data set was from a VR simulation where we turned people into sea turtles in VR and studied its effect on perceptions of environmental threats and some other things. And so this was at a music festival in Florida where we did that. And we just had people complete a quick survey. And then one of the key things in psychology, we use like surveys to like measure subjective feelings of like, oh, how much did you feel connected to your sea turtle body? That's like one of the main columns there, self-presence. It's like how connected did you feel? And then it's a bunch of other like intentions to do things, like how likely are you to donate towards sea turtle conservation, or volunteer or advocate on organizations' behalf. So just very simple. I just took like 10 people and little data points. Yeah. Did you make like music? Did you do it?
I just translated. I used a two-tone app. The two-tone app, if you put any kind of data there, what you will get out is audio form. So I kind of prepared this ahead of time, just so we have more choices. So right now, I turned that audio files into MIDI, and with MIDI you can do anything. And you can use MIDI for video, right? So this could be something that you can translate into your disciplines as well. And Danny, you said gender as male and female,
Yes.
but it doesn't read words, so I just made male 1 and female 2.
Cool.
So this was the data that Danny sent, and then this is now translated into pitches. And let's do something with this. So Danny, would you say, what's the emotional thing you want to say with this?
So I think the interesting thing, and it's hard to see with the data sometimes, but generally what we find in the research is the stronger you feel connected to your virtual body, the stronger the behavioral responses you have. Like the more likely you are to do X, Y, and Z. And so I think in terms of like emotionality, for many people that do this experience, it's very much a combination of like awe and excitement with like a somber, kind of sober realization of, oh crap, like being a turtle sucks sometimes.
Okay.
So I don't know what emotion that is.
Okay, got it. So you said awe and excitement and then somber.
Yeah.
Which of these data points would be the awe?
The presence one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then which one would be the somber?
I would imagine maybe like the donation, the donate column, because at least that's what they're hoping to offset those negative emotions with, is by action.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool. So just for simplicity, I put everything in C major. Do we all know what the C major scale is? Stop if I'm able to file so it doesn't clear trash at the same time. Oh, but then I'm gonna, hold on. Still need my microphone, so. Right? Okay, so this is self-presence. So we get a lot of 25s here.
Not a lot of variation. Not the best data set I sent you.
It's okay. Do we feel like this sounds like all exciting?
What was self-presence?
So it's just a subjective sense that the virtual body you were inhabiting was your own. So higher scores mean you were more connected to your virtual body.
On presence, like what instrument invokes that?
Yeah, it could be
like an organ?
instruments. You want organ?
Yes.
Okay. becomes a metallic or a wooden sound?
Wood.
Wood, right? Because H, it's a human. To me, that also feels more natural with a wooden instrument. Okay, let's see how they work together. Okay. We're gonna keep it simple for now. You said that donate was kind of somber.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking about with that was, let me see if this is a bad idea or a good idea. Okay, so I'm just gonna try something. So I'm looking at these notes that I got from the data, A, C, C, E, and I'm gonna just play with making chords. So I'm using the A here as the root. Now let's see how the chords work with the self-presence. Kind of works, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got that more hopeful melody, exciting melody, but then we got the somber chords underneath. And then we have the H marimba. Let's see how that works together. Okay, I'm gonna put the marimba in the same, closer octave to the organ. I'm getting a little bit emotional with this data, actually. And we have that kind of line. Okay.
Drop some vocals on it.
Well, you know, we might be writing some lyrics, who knows? Okay, for the gender, because we only had 1 and 2 for male and female, I suggest that we use drums for that. Yeah? Okay. Do we feel an electronic drum set or acoustic drum set? Acoustic. Okay, because we're talking about humans. I like it, it's Brooklyn. So now we have the exact, everything is exactly like the columns of the data. So this is now, we haven't taken any artistic liberties, we just kind of like designed it a little bit. We designed which instrument plays what data, but we haven't done any of the artistic choices yet that you talked about. Okay. I'm just gonna skip, or we can turn the volunteer guys to bass. Yeah?
Everybody sit there.
That guy's see exactly what I'm doing. So you don't think I'm taking any artistic liberties yet. Let's just hear what the drums face. Pretty cool. Yeah. Let's have the keys. Okay, so let's start to make some artistic choices. What do we think? Do we like this? Do we want to add anything, edit anything?
What happens if it's in a different piece or a different
Time
time
signature?
signature?
We could do that. I want to keep it a little simple because that's going to be a lot of me just dragging around stuff.
Okay, yes,
So,
that's right.
yeah.
I would take the melody and the counter melody and do something interesting rhythmically with it to create some rhythmic interest. I think that would also help with that feeling of excitement.
So what are you suggesting in terms of rhythmic?
We could add some syncopation, change varying the note lengths. I don't know, maybe kind of like a groovy rhythm. I don't know if the counter melody and the melody should be the same rhythm. It feels like maybe they should be slightly different rhythms that complement each other, but that also might be too dense for this texture.
Yeah.
Might keep them the same rhythm so that the audience can hear them together.
Yeah. What if we just try your first idea there was syncopation? So I'm going to keep the organ where it is, but I'm just going to move.
Can you define what those terms are?
Yeah. We just want.
Syncopation is when you have a meter and the rhythm that's within the meter doesn't align with the beats necessarily. So an example would be like non-syncopated would be like I like ice cream. Syncopated would be like I like ice cream. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So basically what I did was to displace everything with an eighth note. So I just, instead of like, so downbeats would basically be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like we're walking, how a good time. And upbeats is like if you're bouncing a ball, it's like if you're bouncing it with a foot, and when it bounces up, that's upbeats. So it's so just, I displaced everything by half a beat. So let's just listen to the organ by itself. Now with the marimba that's displaced by eighth note. Okay. Are you happy with that? Any more suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could. I think the rhythm could change. So some of the note values are shorter or longer, but that might be something for later tweaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think just as a skeleton, that totally. So what, remember your name? Sorry. Caroline was suggesting was basically instead of this first melody here, so instead of it being, so we do like,
What is that called again?
that's syncopation. But
Oh,
that was
that's also
also,
syncopation?
but she was also suggesting that every note also doesn't need to be the exact same note length.
Got
So it could be instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 2 beats. It could be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Or putting it to be 1 beat,
The
the
length of
length,
the bar
but
should vary.
where it goes. Yeah. So let's see if we like this with the response. Okay, let's have the drums. I'm going to turn on the drums. Bass. or abuse it. Did I lose it? Lose it all. Silence, it's not a friend, but a key.